So, welcome. Um, my name is Gary O'Toole. I'm an Indian astrologer. Obviously, though, if you know by my name, I'm not Indian, O'Toole. Um, I refer to it more as Indian astrology, although the common term is Vedic astrology. And I'll explain a little bit about that. So, the first thing we do with astrology, Indian astrology, is we chant for Ganesh. Ganesh is the lord of Indian astrology. And here is a lovely image taken in County Wicklow, in Roundwood, County Wicklow. So if you're in Ireland and you ever are in Wicklow, make sure to visit this place called Victoria's Way. And there are all these statues of Ganesh in Victoria's Way. And more besides. It's a really lovely place to just hang out for the day. It's only open during the summer, and I don't know if it's open at the moment during this COVID thing, but definitely a place to visit. So that's Roundwood in County Wicklow. So this is Ganesh, the Lord of Astrology, and he's also the remover of obstacles. So anytime we begin anything, it's always good to remove our obstacles. So chanting to Ganesh is a really good practice to have before you might do something else, maybe another meditation you might follow or another mantra you might chant. And here's a very simple mantra for Ganesh. Another name for Ganesh is GANAPATAYE. So, and the seed mantra for Ganesh is GUM. So just GAM, quite simply GUM. There is a Sanskrit pronunciation rule where when you have a gum sound followed by a g sound, it sounds more like an N. So you'll see this written oftentimes as Om Gung or G-O-N-G or G-A-N. So that's how it's pronounced, even though it's written G-A-M. So I'll chant this 3 times just to familiarize you with this Ganesh mantra. Om Gang Ganapataye Namah. Om Gang Ganapataye Namah. Om Gang Ganapataye Namah. So this is Ganesh, the Lord of astrology or Indian astrology. So what is Indian astrology? Well, again, Vedic is another term that's used. Vedic astrology or Jyotish, which is probably the more accurate term, Jyotish. And this is a Sanskrit word which means science of light. You might be familiar with Ayurveda, the science of life. Well, Jyotir is a light. So Jyotish is the science of light. So it's the study of light. And it's traditionally practiced, of course, on the Indian subcontinent, but of course it's practiced worldwide these days. The Vedas themselves are said to be the oldest writings on the earth. And, you know, they themselves were at some point written down, but prior to that, all of this knowledge would have been transmitted orally. So we can really see that these teachings, the Vedas, are thousands of years old. Jyotish, or this division of the Vedas, is seen as a Vedanga. So it means it's a limb. Anga, anytime you see Anga, like Ashtanga yoga, it's a limb of the Vedanga. So basically, Jyotish is a supplementary text that was written in a way to aid us in understanding, in decoding, and ritualizing and timing, in particular, the use of the mantras and the spells and rituals in the Vedas. So astrology was all about timing, in other words. Not like we see astrology these in our modern age, we use astrology more for understanding ourselves. In ancient times, astrology was really only used for timing ritual. So that's the key difference. So differences between Western and Indian astrology. There are many, but one of the main differences you might be aware of is how we use the zodiac. So there are 2, you could also see 3 zodiacs. I'll show you a diagram now. But we have, of course, the tropical zodiac, which is mostly used in Western astrology. Mostly, I say. Some Western astrologers use the sidereal. So the sidereal zodiac, or fixed star, that's what that word means, sidereal, is mostly used in Indian astrology. So there's a difference in degrees between where the vernal equinox is placed astronomically at present, which is actually 6 degrees of Pisces, and tropically is viewed by most Western astrologers on March 20th, on the spring or vernal equinox, when the sun is symbolically seen to pass through the first degree of Aries. It's not actually doing so, because astronomically at the 20th of March, the sun is still at 6 degrees of Pisces. So it doesn't make it to 0 degrees Aries until the 14th of April. So the difference between the two is 24 degrees at present. And this is one of the biggest differences between Western and Indian astrology. And the reason for that is because of the precession of the equinoxes. So we have our different ages, like we're moving into the age of Aquarius. And it's because the Earth acts like this because it's on a tilt on its axis. So our view of the zodiac is constantly shifting. And over many thousands of years, it goes through the whole zodiac. It actually takes over 26,000 years for our view of the zodiac to shift all the way around from the beginning of Aries all the way back to the beginning of Aries. So this takes a long time. And it's a precession, so it goes backwards. So over 2,000 years ago, 0 degrees Aries would have been in the tropical and calculated in sidereal zodiac used in Indian astrology. It would have been the same, but it's shifted since then in the last over 2,000 years, and so there's that 24-degree difference. So this is a very handy kind of general guide to the zodiacs, and this is from Lunar Planner. This is Nick Anthony Florenza. So this is worth definitely paying attention to and going to his website, lunarplanner.com. He has some really nice posters available there, some great graphics. And he, in this one, shows the difference between the three zodiacs. So the inner one is the tropical zodiac. So you'll see starting here would be Aries, Taurus, and so on all the way around. The middle one is the sidereal, the one we use in Indian astrology, and you'll see already the big difference. So Aries is here, but in the sidereal, it's actually Pisces. And the outer one shows the actual constellational zodiac, where you're actually looking at the physical constellations and the different sizes. You'll see some zodiac signs are very small, like Scorpio. Some are very big, like Virgo. So you can see there are different sizes. But what we do in astrology is, and again, the inner one, the middle one is used in Indian astrology, we divide the zodiac up 12 times equal length, because it's like a clock. You want to look at it as a clock. It's a timing device. So, obviously each hour is on a clock the same length. And this is why we do this in astrology. So you'll see that's just a nice graphic of the different zodiacs there. So again, go to lunarplanner.com if you want to have more insight into this phenomenon and also all the good graphics. So another big difference between Indian astrology and Western is that in Western astrology, you'll hear more about the 12 sun signs, but in Indian astrology, you'll hear more about the lunar signs or moon signs. And these are actually the 27 star signs. And they divide up the zodiac 27 times. So the 27 star signs, or they're called nakshatras. And these signs have their root in a more ancient system of interpretation, because ancient peoples were always more guided by the moon and the moon cycle. So the moon moves through one sign a day in a month. And this is where we get our month from. And the sun, of course, moves through a sign every month. And then 12 months of the year, we get 12 sun signs. And we use both in Indian astrology, but the 27 star or lunar signs give us more insights really into the signs of the zodiac. So each lunar sign, and as well as sun sign, has their own characteristics and rulerships, planets which rule them. And one thing to note is that sun signs, like the signs you might be aware of, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and so on, are more used for resources and physical circumstances, whereas the moon signs, lunar signs, or star signs are more about the mind, how the mind is functioning around these circumstances. So this is what is really used more so in Indian astrology, these 27 star or lunar signs. And from these lunar signs, we get planetary cycles, which is what Indian astrology is most known for. More even so than transits, it's known for these planetary cycles. So based on the position of the moon when you were born, a predictive system of planetary cycles shows how the decades, years, months, weeks, days, hours, even down to minutes are passing in your life. So these are called cycles. And this is why I call my astrology timeline astrology. It literally gives you a timeline of your life within these cycles. So they run in sequential order for everyone, but you begin at a very specific point based on the position of the moon when you were born. So based on the exact position of the moon. And because of that, because it's the moon, these cycles color your perceptions of the world, reflecting hidden impulses, instinctual drives. It's the moon, so it's very instinctual, as shown in the astrological moon. So these cycles show really where your mind is at, where your heart is at, where your soul is at. And it's a very easy way to follow astrology, really, beyond just looking at transits. Transits must be looked at, of course, as well, but these are actually more impactful, these planetary cycles, because they trigger things that are inherent in you, seen in your birth chart. Another thing we look at in Indian astrology are the divisions, because you have your main birth chart where the planets lined up when you were born, but you also have divisional charts honing in on specific areas of your life. So if you're looking at relationships, you're looking at a particular divisional chart. If you're looking at career, you're looking at a particular divisional chart. This 9th divisional chart, which basically divides up all the 12 sun signs, Aries, Taurus, so on, into 9 sections. And then you get this Navamsha, or Nava, it means 9 division, Navamsha. And this is used specifically for looking at your blessings in life, your spouse, which is one of your major blessings, innate talents that you were born with and strengths that you have, as well as your dharma or purpose in life. This is a very important divisional chart, and you'll see it all the time alongside the main birth chart in Indian astrology. So I want to show you how that looks right now. So here we have the layout I use. It's a South Indian style layout. So we have the box on the right, or on your left. You have Aries here, top left, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. So this is your birth. This is the birth chart. This is the actually lineup of the planets right now as I speak. But on the right-hand side, you'll see another chart, and that is the Navamsha, 9th division, for Dharma, for spouse. So this is like your spouse, but also a deeper layer of you. And we use these two alongside each other. They're like literally like two eyes, like a left and right eye, to see fully into a person, to understand a person more fully on these different levels. So just wanted to show you that. So that's the 9th division. So the other main thing about Indian astrology, which would be different to Western astrology, would be this very specific remedies used. We do a lot of remedy in Indian astrology. We also, and I also use very practical remedies as well. I just give very practical advice on how people can manage the transits or the cycles and make the most of them. But there are also more, I guess, secretive, or what is known as more esoteric knowledge combined, held within this. So it's like a lot of mantras, a lot of practices like yantra, using sacred symbols, and tantra. So these three in particular. So the Vedic birth chart itself is a map of an individual's karma, which has fructified in this life. So that chart I just showed you there, I'll just show you again. If this were somebody was born right now, for example, this is their map of karma. This is the experiences that they are and inherent within them that are going to get triggered at certain times in these cycles and transits. So this is known as prabdha karma, the karma that's fructified for any given lifetime. It's not all of your karma, which is called sanchita karma. So remedies are an integral part of Indian astrology and offer an effective way of living with challenging karma. If you're experiencing something more challenging, you're able to remedy that situation to ease your way through that experience, and making the most of positive experiences, of course, and creating more beneficial influences for your future. So it's a big part of Indian astrology, and it's, probably you could say the most important part, because there's no point, pointing out challenges in a person's birth chart, challenges they've obviously come to you experiencing, unless you can actually remedy it. It is beneficial, of course, to point out challenges a person is someone is experiencing, because they're able to have more acceptance around that when they see it lined up in the planets, literally imprinted in them from birth. So that is helpful, but you also need to bring it a step further, and remedy as much as possible. So that's all I really wanted to say about astrology. I'll take questions after if anyone has any questions. Just wanted to obviously let you know, if anyone is interested in a reading, I offer readings online. And so this whole going online thing with COVID was not really a big adjustment for myself, because I would have been offering readings online prior to that anyway. It's a better way to offer readings, I feel, online, because I get to share the screen. So this is the main thing. If we're speaking and you're having your chart read, I'm showing you your chart, and you can go through the chart and focus on the chart, on yourself, other than focusing on coming to me somewhere and getting a reading and focusing on myself. It's very much about focusing on you. So all readings are video recorded, as well as audio. You get a video or audio recording, depending on what you want, or depending on what you want to listen to after. But it's good to have the visual of your chart afterwards. You get your horoscope, of course, and your timelines. So I want to just show you these timelines, what they look like. So this is a chart, and this would be timelines. So let me break it down. This is actually 3 levels, but we could start maybe with 2 levels, and look at all the different cycles in a person's life. Again, this would be somebody hypothetical if they were born right now. And you'll see different cycles in a person's life, the moon cycle, the Mars cycle, and so on. And then on a second level, different cycles active as well. This can be broken down, like I said, many times. We can look at it right down to the minute, but the first level shows many years, even decades. And that is seen as more on a soul level, how someone is experiencing their life on a soul level. The second level is up to maybe 3 years at max. And that would show experiences every few years, where how they're feeling about their life and the people they're meeting to help them experience this bigger soul lesson. So you have, 2 levels here, but we can also break it down to a third level. And that third level will show how one is reacting, how we're reacting to all of that, how we're feeling and our circumstances. So the first level shows our circumstances over many, many years. Second level, over a few years, how we're feeling about that. And the third level, over many months, how we're reacting to that. So it's a very easy way to follow your chart, basically. So like I said, I offer readings online. Either you can get a full chart reading. So this would include all of your life and honing in on very specific questions that you ask about, of course. Or you could have an hour reading, which is either an in-depth reading or a yearly or birthday forecast. And then shorter readings, 30 minutes for maybe specific questions. So my details are there if you want. My phone number is here, and my email, info@timelineastrology.com. I wanted to just share with you before I finish up here something that's free for anyone to download if you wish to follow the moon around the 27 signs that I mentioned. So this is a free app I've just released. It's called Timeline Astrology. It's only available on Google Play Store as yet, on Android devices, and we're hoping to have it up soon on the Apple Store for iPhone. So it's a timeline astrology app. It will not only help you understand your self and others better, because you'll be able to key in your date of birth and see where the moon was when you were born, as well as the sun sign. But also it'll guide you in your activities based on the mood each day of the month. So every time you open up the app every day, the moon will have moved, because the moon moves through one sign per day. So you'll be able to see where the moon is on any given day, and you'll be able to plan your life around that, because the moon sign is showing the general mood of the day, and so it will help you in understanding the activities that you can perform on the day. So there are certain days that are good for like nice friendship and starting something new, and it's more maybe auspicious, where there are other moon days that are good for maybe getting rid of things, changing things, or overcoming things. So there's very different kind of moon days throughout the month. And it will show you, this app will show you how your life is unfolding over longer periods of time. So these timelines that I'm referring to, because when you key in your date of birth, your time, date, and place of birth, you will actually get a list of these timelines in your own life. So this timeline I was referring to, you'll get a list of these timelines on 2 levels in the app. So you'll be able to literally see where in the sequence that you are. So somebody might be in a Jupiter Mercury cycle, for example, and you'll be able to see, you know, the past cycles and up to now, and then even future cycles. So that's worth, the app is worth that alone if you're to download it for that reason. So the last thing I want to mention is, you know, you might not be interested in getting a reading with myself, but if you were interested in learning more astrology, I offer more to patrons or members of my website. So if you sign up as a member of timelineastrology.com, you become a patron of my work, and you can get in-depth daily astrology. I write in-depth reports every day, as well as monthly forecasts and video presentations. And I do this only for patrons. So you can go to timelineastrology.com to have a look, or you can go to patreon.com/timelineastrology, and you'll be able to sign up there. It's only $5 a month, but for $5, I think you get a lot, because I write, again, daily. I write long posts every day about where the planets are and different astrology posts, as well as a monthly forecast looking ahead for the month ahead, and a video presentation, which I'm actually doing later on today for patrons, looking at the month ahead. So that's all I have to share with you today. I'm going to stop recording, and then I'm going to open it out to any questions if anybody has any questions.